Hi there. Welcome back to my workbench. My name is Erica, and I'm so happy that you're here today. So in my last video, we looked at a Stihl 026 that a customer dropped off. He said it was hard to start, and then when it did start, it wouldn't stay running. So together, we went through this saw to find its faults. We found fuel line issues, impulse line issues, leaking crank seals, a non-working chain brake, water in the fuel, plus some other things. The customer decided he didn't want to fix it, and he told me to throw the saw in the garbage. So I was going to box this saw up and just send it out back into the chainsaw crypt to be used for parts to get other saws up and going. But after reading all the comments under that video, a lot of you suggested that I should fix this saw. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to clean this thing up, we're going to fix it, and we're going to go cut wood with it. So come along with me. Let's get started. So here is that 026. If you haven't seen that video, if you go back and watch it, you'll see the diagnostics we did on this chainsaw to get to this point. So I've got this thing stripped down pretty good. I've got the clutch off. We're just going to pull that oil pump out of the way to replace the crank seal. We're going to replace both crank seals. Got the brake spring off. So we're going to take this thing outside and get it all cleaned up. I've got everything sealed off. Fuel line, impulse, intake, spark plugs in. There's no decompression valve on this one. Exhaust is blocked off. So we're going to take this thing outside and get it cleaned up. It's pretty dirty. Okay, I'll meet you outside. Okay, we're back from our bath. The first bath in 25 years. Cleaned up pretty good, actually. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we are going to replace both crank seals. We know that this one's leaking. We're going to do both of them. First thing I have to do is get this thing so it'll pass a pressure and vac test. And once we have that, we're going to carry on. We're going to replace the fuel line and filter, the impulse line. We need to address this AV mount, carb kit, this whole clutch side, the brake not working, that tank vent. So let's get started here. Let's pull that crank seal out. We'll use this seal puller. I got this from Stihl, and the part number if you want it. There you go. There we go. I just removed the flywheel key as well. I should have removed it first, but anyway, it's out. I just used a Q-tip and cleaned up in there. There's a good chance this saw was sucking a bit of dirt in past the crank seal, but there's nothing we can do with that now. We are not going to split the case of this saw. There's this crank seal's part number, 9640 003 1190. There's our new crank seal. I've put a little bit of grease on the inside of the lip. We're going to slide it down the crankshaft. We're going to hold it away from the keyway so we don't damage it. And this tool here is going to press that seal in the perfect amount. Perfect. Now let's replace this crank seal. Okay, let's pull this crank seal out the exact same way. Okay, so there is our crank seal. There's the crank bearing. This side probably wasn't leaking, but if you replace one, usually you do both at the same time. They're kind of like socks. If one sock is wore out, the other one's probably not far behind. This new crank seal, there's the part number. Just going to slide this over the crankshaft. That'll protect the new crank seal from those threads. I have greased the inside of the lip of the seal. So we'll slide it down. We use this tool. There's the Stihl part number. Perfection. Looks like a rat chewed a hole in that bag. Tyler. Okay, so we have replaced both crank seals. Now let's do a pressure vac test and see if we have resolved our pressure and vacuum leak. Hopefully we have, and we can carry on. Lily approves. Okay, so we are going to pull vacuum first, half a bar. Looks good to me. Let's go to pressure. Half a bar. That saw is as tight as a fish's arse. I'll just take a couple seconds here, get all of my pressure vac tools off of this thing, and we'll continue. Let's replace the impulse line. There's the new one. There's the part number. It's right there. Get right down in there. Hooks into that brass fitting. So we're going to remove that and put a new one on. If you've seen part 1 of this video, when I pulled the carb off this, the impulse line came with it. It wasn't hooked up. It's hard, it's shrunken, it's in poor condition. So that's why we're going to replace it with a new one. Okay, there's the old one. Let's see how supple this one is. This one is probably original. It's hard and it is shrunken. This one's hard and shrunk. This one's big and soft. Just years of fuel sitting in this has caused it to literally shrink. Okay, well, let's put the new one in. So there's the hole it came out of right there.
Don't mind us. We're just trying to see what you're doing.
I can't see what I'm doing. So that was pretty hard to show on camera, but I fed it through there, and then I reached in there, grabbed it with these, pulled the grommet through, and then grabbed it from this side, but looked through this side. There it is right there. Hooked back up to the crankcase. Let's replace that fuel line. There's the new one. There's the part number. That is not the right fuel line. It says 1129 on it. It should say 1121. Tyler, what's this fuel line for? The Stihl portal tells us that that is for an MS200. Okay, so let's install a new proper fuel line. Okay, so the new fuel line is installed. I pushed from the top with this, reached in the fuel line and grabbed it, gently pulled while I pushed, and it popped right in there. Let's throw a new fuel filter in there. Okay, new fuel filter installed. Well, we're getting close. We have to look at that AV mount still. We have to rebuild the carburetor and put the clutch side all back together. I'm going to go make myself a fresh coffee, and then we'll get back to it. I'll see you in a few minutes.
All right, Erica went for a coffee. I think I heard some teenage girls screaming down at the house, fighting. So I don't know if we'll see her again tonight. I'll just start messing around with this thing. I know we have an AV mount issue here. So rid of that. Let's see what is going on here. Take the inner piece out. Something doesn't look right here. And pop that out. Yeah, it's not in great shape. It's been like that a while. I gotta go find a new one of those. All right, I think I've got it. There's my part number, rubber buffer for the front one here. And look at the difference. Quite a bit of difference over the years and what it's done to it. So pop this one in, push it home. There. Put this screw back in. Put this piece back in. It's got to orient with our chain catcher. In case you didn't know how these work, when this drops in to the AV mount, the buffer there, that screw goes in and pushes these out, which locks the rubber buffer in place. So if you're missing this and you're wondering why your rubber buffer keeps popping out, that's why. Very common on an 038 for that these pieces to go missing. That looks more factory. I recommend replacing these if you have to bend them. But that's better. That's sitting the way it's supposed to now. Nice and tight. There. Just gonna put this side of the saw together. So I'm gonna put my oil pump screws in. Our worm driver. This one doesn't have the little arm on it. It oils all the time. As long as the engine's running, this saw is oiling. It's not the most desirable setup. Okay. Next would be my brake parts, which I'm going to have to steal off of another saw. When I was pressure washing this, the handle flew off because nobody had the clip in right here. The little E-clip like this one was not present. So somebody's had this apart at one time. Maybe they bent that chain brake band out of the way. Yeah. I'm going to go round up some parts. I found a clip and a good used brake band, and it measures, the thickness measures fine on it. Little dirt. There's the one that come off, and somebody had to have intentionally bent this. But also, there's a problem here, is you can see how wore it is from touching the drum. That would be a fail on that part there. I thought, oh, I'll just straighten that out. But it's a little thin right there. I don't like that. So, garbage. Oh, put it with her other parts. All right, first things first. This little spring on here. Not a big fan of this spring. I seem to lose it sometimes. Onto that peg. There, I think we got it. I used to have difficulty with that when I first started. That clip was missing. There's no way my pressure washer should have knocked this stuff off. Brake band. Our spring. Throw this cover on. There, it's working good. Actually, what I just noticed, I don't know if Erica noticed it, but it's missing the two, what are they called again? Slide rails, I think they are called. We'll have to get those in there. You can see where the chain coming right into the crankcase here. It's no good. Oh no, it doesn't use one up top. It has the peg, the hole for it, but that's right. It doesn't use it up there. Just this one here, which we definitely want that one in. So there's our part number. Now it's sometimes called a slide rail. And then it's also called a bumper strip. So these are both still packages. So I don't know why there's confusion. Anyway, a lot of you probably know that part. Oh, maybe that was supposed to go on first. Doesn't fit very nice. It's in there. It's probably because those chains hitting the crankcase have made that hole a little different. Now, there's clutch, and there should be a big washer, but no, that washer didn't come out of this saw. I'm going to go check the parts list and see if that's missing or if it just doesn't have one. So I've looked it up, and a couple variations of these 026s. Now I believe this one with this plastic oil pump and I call it the shallow clutch drum. It does not have that washer from what I can tell. So I'm just gonna go ahead and not use it. And my piston stop tool up against the other end of the piston, against the cylinder wall, not in the exhaust port. Tighten that down. I think it's 50 Newton meters. Could be wrong on that. Should go look it up. I just hand tight. All right, clutch is torqued down. I'm going to put the flywheel back on. Flywheel key. If I can get that back in. There. Now I need a 13 on a ratchet. Throw my plug back in. All right, got those 2 screws started. Now, I don't know if Eric has ever explained this, but I'm going to give a hint. Before you tighten those 2 up, those 2 screws that go into the cylinder, get these started first. I know this doesn't make sense, but when you tighten these, sometimes that muffler will tighten out of place. Actually, the back of the muffler here has a bit of a lip on it to fit in the crankcase. So this is kind of a handy thing. So get that one just snugged up. Not tightened, but just snug. Same with this one. Okay. Just get those on there. And then tighten those back, the muffler to cylinder bolts up. I've seen many saws come in over the years where these are messed, the muffler has bent because they didn't, or they stripped these holes trying to get them in. Just this is one I learned years ago. All right, get those tightened down. All right, then we'll take these 2 back out. Now I know these holes are perfectly lined up with the holes in the muffler also now. Kind of an extra step, but it's worth it. Muffler's on. Oh, I guess we could have put our sprocket back on. I should do all new parts, but I'm not. Kind of just want to see how it runs. Get some grease. Just throw a bit of grease on that bearing. Ooh, that's not fitting very nice. I don't know what the problem is. There it goes. Must have just been off a bit. My brake spring must just not have been sitting in the right spot. That's perfect. And our rim sprocket is not great. Should probably go grab a new one. Okay, we're all ready on that side. Put our recoil on. I don't know if you can hear that, but I've got some barn swallows that keep flying in my shop today. They just won't leave me alone. The cats, it's driving the cats nuts. They can't catch them. What really makes me happy is they're all the original Recoil bolts, the gold, well, chrome or gold plating on them. That would bother me if one didn't match. I think me and Erica are pretty much the same about that kind of stuff. So to get this to run, I need a carburetor, which I don't see it. So I'm guessing she didn't rebuild it yet. Nope, she did not. There it is. We'll see if I have the parts to do this. Actually, I'm going to clean this place up a little bit first. I would hate for her to come and have to work in my mess. I hope she approves of this.
I'll use the carb stand that Joe sent me that he got from the greasy shop rag. Thank you, Joe. Carb kit, K20 WAT. And this is the carb kit for this carburetor. This may not be the kit for your carburetor. I've picked out of the carb kit here what I'm going to use. I've got a new screen. I'm going to replace these diaphragms. Somebody has got that screw there mangled. I'm going to leave the needle alone. This thing does hold pressure. Metering lever is set perfectly. Something to look at on these carbs is this plastic inlet to make sure it's not cracked or broken. In a previous video, we found one of these 026s that wouldn't run, and this was cracked. But this one looks good. I checked the high and low jets. They were both out a turn and a quarter. Okay, well, this thing's been cleaned. Let's put it back together. I'll pick that screen out of there and put a new one in it. There we go, ready for install. Remember to put that guide piece on before you put the carb back on. Okay, we'll go ahead and slide the rebuilt carburetor on. The fuel line is going to hook up there to the inlet, and that's going to slide into our new impulse line right there. I gotta find my throttle linkage. Okay, we'll put this handle back on. Got 3 pieces here. Okay, we're getting down to the end here. Got my box of parts here. We'll see what we have left. 2 covers, clutch cover, bolts, and we're not left with anything extra. That's what we want to see. Go give that thing a cleaning up. And I'm going to grab the proper air filter. The one that we took out of it is a winter filter. It's a good filter. It's an OEM Stihl filter, but made for winter use, and it's not winter here anymore. New air filter. There's the part number. Well, what do you think? How's it looking? I had almost everything here to finish this, except for that little tank vent piece, which I'll have to order a new piece. But other than that, we got it back together. So let's put some fuel in it and some bar oil, take it outside, and see if it runs. What do you think? I hope this thing runs. Put some bar oil in it. Well, what do you think, guys? I think it's going to run. I'll meet you outside. So the new tank vent pieces are installed. You're probably noticing that the winter air filter is back on this saw. So I had a customer come in looking for a filter for an 026. Inventory said I had it. I couldn't find it. And then I remembered that it was on the YouTube saw. So I peeled it back off, sold it to him, and I've just thrown my winter filter back on for now. I'll meet you outside. Well, there you go. There's a nice running 026. Let's put a bar and chain on it and take it back outside. That one. Well, this saw runs and cuts, and it runs and cuts pretty good. What you just seen out there was Tyler ripping through some oak. So the man who dropped this off, if you watched my last video, he dropped this off because he said it was hard to start, and that when it would start, it had a running issue. So we discovered all kinds of problems with this thing, and the customer said, I don't want to spend much money on it, throw it in the garbage. I was going to send this out back to the chainsaw crypt to become a part saw, but many of you said, please fix that saw. So that's what we did. So we did impulse line, fuel line, both crank seals, fuel filter, AV mount, used brake band from out back, carb kit, and rim sprocket. So this thing has been gone through, cleaned, serviced, and is back in working condition. I'm going to have a pile of 026s and MS260s at this rate because we keep fixing them, and I have a bunch out back to fix. Some people just don't want to spend much money on these saws. I think the saw to that customer was just a worthless tool that wasn't worth spending money on, but it definitely was. I'm glad we fixed it. So thanks to all of you that pushed me into fixing this. So I guess that's it for the 026 that's hard to start. I have lots of saws waiting for me. I have a fresh coffee, and it's on to the next chainsaw. Thank you so much for watching.